right, this is the Committee on Government Operations, Public Safety, Public Service. This is Thursday, June 9th, 2016. We're at 6 p.m. I have Councilor McKinnon.
Here.
Councilor Capone.
Here.
Councilor Delasola.
Here.
Councilor McLaughlin.
Present.
We have 4 members present. We do have a quorum.
Please stand, salute the flag.
All right, the first piece of business is the fire chief being exempt from civil service.
Make a motion to have
Mr. Chair.
Greg Hardy come up.
Yep.
So moved.
Mr. Hardy, could you come before us, please? State your name and title.
My name is Craig Hardy. I'm the president of International Association of Firefighters, Local 143, Everett Firefighters.
Thank you for appearing. Councilman McLaughlin.
Did we get a communication from the mayor or from his office in regards to him appearing here tonight?
No communication.
Should
Nothing
we,
in regards to him appearing tonight.
should we appoint somebody to officially go ask if he could join us in this conversation? I think it's a very important
Sure.
subject matter for the future of this position.
Councilman Delasola? Would you mind?
Just gonna second that.
Okay. So you want to appoint someone now to go to the mayor's office, see if he's available to come down? Yeah, could you do that, Councilman Delasola? Thank you for seconding that, too.
Second.
We're just going to, yeah, we could
We
start questioning now. Mr.
Allow
Hardy?
Mr. Hardy to start the conversation, and then we'll go from there.
Sure.
You want to speak
The
on
floor is yours, Mr. Hardy.
it? All right, yeah.
Floor is yours.
I was up here a few weeks ago, I believe, in front of the same committee, spoke on this position. Actually, I might have been in front of the whole council, but the union, the fire chief, and all of our members feel the same, that the chief's position should stay in civil service where it's been and where it has been forever, and that's how we stand.
So that's a union standpoint? They want to
Yes,
keep it in civil service?
yes.
Okay. Any questioning on that from the councilors? You have anything, Mike?
Sure. Okay, so I'm going to let Councilor Delasola have the floor.
Yes, the mayor's in another meeting
Okay.
next to his office, so we can continue with everything else on the calendar tonight. And he doesn't know we are looking for him, but we will let him know, and hopefully he'll be done in time for this meeting.
Okay. What we could do now is we could lay that on the table until the end of the meeting. And we already had testimony from the union, from their standpoint. Councilman Delasola, the union standpoint, correct me if I'm wrong, would be to have this position stay in civil service, nothing changed to it. That's the position of the union, as well as, who else?
Chief Butler also is on board with this and always has been. He agrees that it should stay in civil service.
He testified the last,
Yes,
last
meeting,
time
yes.
that this was before us, okay. Councilman McLaughlin?
I'm going to ask a few questions because last time I was not on the city council when this issue came up last year. So if I could have the floor to just a couple of minutes.
You have the floor.
Mr. Hardy, if I can ask a couple of questions. If you don't have the answers, fine with me. Are any of the surrounding communities taking this position out of civil service, or are we unique to this proposal?
I believe Chelsea's chief is not in civil service, and that has created a big grind over there as of right now. So they do it, but it's a detrimental situation over there right now.
You believe the other surrounding communities have it in civil service?
Yes, I believe all the ones that touch us, whether it's Malden, Medford, Revere, I'm pretty sure, Cambridge, Somerville, I believe they're all civil service chiefs.
And I apologize for this, but what can you just quickly give me a synopsis of what the position means if we take it out of civil service or we leave it in civil service? What changes?
Well, what would change is if the council and the city took it out of civil service, they could do a nationwide search and hire anyone. They could hire a banker to be the chief officer of our fire department. And in the fire service, as you know, there's a lot of tradition. There's a big brotherhood and a second family thing. And the respect factor to have would be really hard for our membership and our firefighters to respect a man that we've never worked with, never seen, just to be, let's say, the manager of our department. Right now, the way it works is being in civil service, you come up through the ranks in the Everett Fire Department, usually you do your time, you do your tenure. If you've promoted through the ranks, you would have the opportunity to succeed till chief, and it would stay within the ranks. And civil service is a competitive exam where they take an exam, and the way the city does it is whoever tops the exam gets awarded the job.
So taking it out of civil service, you would be able to have a nationwide search
Correct.
for anybody that
Any
qualifies.
person.
There must
that-
be some sort of a qualification standard. That,
Yeah,
I
well,
mean, you
who-
can't take the guy that works in a convenience store to make the chief of fire.
If the mayor chose that person to be the chief of fire, yes, he could if this board allowed it.
Really, there's no state regulations that requires.
No, this would be up to the city of Everett and up to the hiring authority, which is the mayor.
Okay.
So you can see how dangerous that could be.
Aspect, sure. Yeah, because we have many department heads in the city, right, who don't necessarily come up through the ranks and they become a department head. But to have the ability to hire anybody, it would be a dangerous proposal. And obviously, all of your members are in favor of keeping this.
Yes, I mean,
correct.
this is 100%, everyone's on board that they want to keep this in civil service. And just to that point, I mean, I had discussions with the mayor, and I understand, I mean, his heartfelt, he does want to keep it within our ranks,
Right.
and he does want to make sure it is a guy within our ranks, but I've spoken to him and his guys, and I told him then there's no need to take it out of civil service then, if that's his feeling and his, gut feeling on it. And the other thing that I mentioned to the mayor was that he's the mayor now, and this is his intention, but he's not going to be the mayor forever. And this fire department is going to be here forever. And the way it's running now and the way it's operable now is the right way to do it. And that's the way most, 99% of fire departments do it.
Okay. And I guess the last question that I would have is currently, and again, I'm new to the board, but currently the fire chief sort of answers to the membership because it's in the union. Doesn't necessarily have to report to the administration. Is that a fair synopsis?
I believe the fire chief definitely runs the fire department, and obviously the union's the collective bargaining agent, so he does, when he's gonna change something or go over things, he does sit down with the union, and we do discuss things and talk, but the mayor is his boss, I mean, so he does have to answer to the mayor. And just to go back on your other point, where you stated how in different positions in City Hall, where people may not be in that department but get the ranks, the fire department is a whole different profession, and it's a whole different type of world that we live, so for us to have a non-respect factor for our chief would be very detrimental within the whole department. It wouldn't be good.
And I would agree on that subject, other than the fact that I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe we've taken the chief of police more than 10 years ago out of civil service in the city of Everett. And it seems to have not caused any ripple in the department or any real waves in the department, in the management of the department, or how the department runs. I think that is a fair statement to make. So I'm not sure if this piggybacks off of that, or if this is separate, because I know it's a brotherhood. You guys live in the firehouse. You guys are there, 24 hours, 3 shifts. So it's a different, somewhat different, but I know that we've had no issues with the chief of police coming out of civil service. So
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak on that. I just know when they first did it, I do know there was a problem where I think they hired a man from out of town, and I believe that was a little bit bumpy and whatever went on there, but I can't speak on
Sure,
that.
no, but I
Yeah.
understand. Fair enough. I appreciate you giving answers tonight. Thanks. Mr. Tappan.
You're welcome.
And, Councilman Delasola.
I have a question that I'm pretty sure it's related to it. The chief now, once he retires, we have a temporary chief that's gonna be taking his place until this process is complete?
Correct, yeah. What's going on right now is a temporary made a provisionary chief. That's the language they use through civil service. So there'll be a provisionary chief put in place the day Chief Butler exits the building, so to speak, and then they'll call for a special exam. Shouldn't say a special exam, they'll call for the chief's exam, which possibly will be held next May, and then I believe it's open to our deputies. Those men would take the exam if they're interested, and whoever would get the highest score would hopefully succeed to be the chief.
The gentleman right now that you will be picking, will he be taking that test also?
If he wants the position permanently, yes, that would be the only way to permanent the job, and the mayor is aware of that, he does know that he will be calling for an exam, and he did interview the guys, he talked to our members already about it, the guys who are aspiring to be the chief, and he did explain to them this will be provisionary and we'll be calling for an exam.
Okay, on the gentleman stand that's gonna be picked, Was he picked from anybody in the force, or just,
No, no, right now with us currently being a civil service chief department and civil service department and civil service chief, they picked it through our ranks. It's one of our deputies right now.
and Chief Butler picked him?
No, I believe the mayor.
The mayor.
The mayor picks, yeah. The mayor's the hiring authority. He chose the one.
He would pick him, but on the other hand, when the tests are all done, the mayor would pick from the
Yes.
gentleman who took the test and the interview.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All set, Counselor? All set?
Yes.
Councilman Capone?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. So just so that I'm clear with what it is, the temporary, when the chief is no longer serving that capacity, that's exclusively the mayor's domain? Or does the union have anything to say with that? Or the outgoing chief, is there any recommendation?
The union hasn't had a say. I mean, our union members obviously were interviewed, the ones that were aspiring to be that next rank, but as in the union's process, we've had a process, we had different things, we understand the interview now, we've worked that out, we understand those obligations, but the union does have rights here, and we're looking into our rights because of the process that was taken, and it is new, because the process that has been done in the past is it would be the senior deputy would step into that position because there was no list. Understand the reason why they're doing this provisionary process and the way they're choosing it is, there is no chief's list, so to speak, where no one took the exam. So right now, that list is vacant, so there's no one
So
on
had there
it.
been a list, it would have been whoever the ranking
Correct.
individual
Whoever was the top
would have just
scorer.
slid into the spot.
He would have,
Okay.
got the chief's position, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you, no other questions.
All set, Counselor? All right. Mr. Hardy, I have one question. So when the gentleman that's in the position now, he will be paid provisionally as the chief?
Yes, I believe starting, I want to say July 11th or July 10th, I believe that's when the chief is retirement day.
Make a motion to have the Human Resources Director before us. Thank you. Can you just state your name and title, please?
Michael Vitrano, Human Resources Director.
Thank you for appearing tonight.
Thank you for having me.
You would probably be better off answering this question. He'll be paid provisionally as chief?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And that'll go for the period of time until such time as the civil service list is called for. And then, once the civil service list is called for, and then there are 3 scores, I believe, 3 for 1? That's how you're doing it?
Yes, depending on, when they take the exam, the number of people that score and pass, we'll take the top 3 for every position.
Okay.
There's a
And
formula.
that's how it will go from there, from civil service wise?
Correct.
Okay. And it fair to say it would be 3 individuals that were taking it within the city of Everett, correct?
There'll probably be more. It's my understanding there'll be maybe more taking that.
Possibly 5?
If they sign up, I'm not sure how many will sign up. It's up to them. And individuals who want to,
So it's all in the preliminary stage right now?
that's correct.
Okay. So I just wanted to get some of the groundwork on it so that we have an understanding here, because there were some questions in light of that. So, thank you for that. Councilman McLaughlin, you have a couple of questions?
I do. Thank you, Chairman. Okay. Mr. Vitrano, do we have somebody that, I know we've gone through the interview process on preliminary chief. Do we have somebody, or do we have, I don't know if we're gonna have another public safety committee meeting before the chief leaves.
No.
So do we, I mean, the public safety committee should probably know who the temporary chief is going to be. Do you guys know at this point?
Yeah.
It sounds like you do.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to share that with us tonight, or go in?
Sure, absolutely. After a thorough background investigation interview process with Chief Butler was involved in the selection process as well, and 2 of the mayors, obviously Deputy Chief Colley has been selected. We narrowed it down to 2. It was narrowed down to Deputy Chief Michael Ragucci and Anthony Colley, and at the end, the administration felt that Deputy Chief Colley was a good fit at this point. And all deputy chiefs are eligible to take the chief exam when it comes out, and at that point, Deputy Chief Colley will have to be, score high enough to pass and then be considered to be permanent.
Okay, and do we have a date of transformation from Chief Butler to temporary Chief Colley?
So at this point, Chief Butler, his retirement date is either July 10th or July 5th.
Okay.
And at that point, then we'll make the transition.
Okay, fair enough. That was really the only question. Mr. Hardy, could we, and I guess I probably know this answer already, could we try to do this on a temporary basis of some sort to be able to take this out of civil service and see how it works for X amount of time? Or is this really, and I know that you said, good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Make a motion to have the mayor before us, please.
Second.
Thank you for coming down, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Can you just state your name and title, sir?
Sure.
Carlo Di Maria, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for appearing tonight. We're,
You still have the floor, Counselor.
we're talking about the fire chief position coming out of civil service, and I know that you are an advocate for taking it out of civil service. So we're just kind of asking Mr. Hardy the union's position on the issue, kind of trying to get the feeling of the membership and where they stand and how they feel on it. And we've had conversations, and I sort of understand your position, but maybe you want to share that with us, if you don't mind.
Sure. You know, I think the main thing is that it's very, it's not difficult, but to have a department head who, I mean, all department heads are beholden to the city administration, which eventually is beholden to the city council, right? Their appointment would have to come through you. At the end of the day, the city council has the power over someone's appointment. I know I think some of the issues that people may have that they're afraid of bringing someone in from outside. That's not the intention of this at all. Unfortunately, there's been years, it's been past, let's say 5 or 6 years, no one has taken the test for fire chief. So now, due to the fact that no one has taken a test, because it's time involved, there's money involved in taking the test, and if someone's not leaving, then, you know, who's going to spend all that money and time to take the test? But that's not a really good succession plan, right? So you don't have anyone taking tests. So now I'm faced with a provisional fire chief and have to, you know, choose from whomever would like to apply to be the provisional fire chief. I mean, if someone wanted to, how it goes when they post it for the chief. So if the deputy chiefs do not want to take the test, it goes down to captains. If captains do not want to take the test, it goes down to lieutenants. And if lieutenants don't want to take the test, it goes down to regular privates. So in essence, you could have had a private take the exam this year, pass the test, and we would have had to give him the position. Now, that's not a great succession plan. So if you have now the fire chief come on an appointment by the mayor's office, there'll always be, you know, you know, I'm not going to put the wrong person in there as the fire chief. I'm going to put someone who's an effective manager, who at the end of the day is going to look out for the best interests of not only of the fire department, the men, and the safety of the men, and make sure that they're, you know, proper equipment and their facilities, but also their budget. That their budget is looked over very aggressively. You know, issues like sick abuse, overtime abuse, those issues, maybe with an appointment from the mayor approved by the city council, you may have a better effective manager.
And I agree with you on most of what you said. My only thought is, and Mr. Hardy brought it up, it was a thought that I had previously. In 4 years from now, you decide you're going to move forward and you're going to go do something in your personal life. You leave the mayorship. Hopefully not, but you decide to. And we have a new mayor. He now can go ahead and put anybody in that position that he so chooses. Unfortunately, this isn't a administration change where we could say this is tied to the Di Maria administration and then it goes back. It's going to be a permanent change forever, and it allows the next person, floodgates, to go ahead and hire a guy at the convenience store that he wants to make the chief of fire.
The good thing is checks and balances. The city council would always have the right to approve or disapprove of the hire. So if the mayor, let's say the mayor who's you know, coming forward wants to put someone from the outside, and I'm sure there'll be maybe a good amount of members that you know, some of you are still here, or if you want to, I don't know if you can make it a city ordinance. You make it a city ordinance that the fire chief has to come from the rank and file of the fire department. I mean, if you can do that, I'd be totally amenable of signing in some sort of ordinance that says that the fire chief will come from the rank and file of the Everett Fire Department, and no one comes from the outside. You know, we tried that in the police department with, you know, Chief Bonnell. It did not go over well with the men. You know, so we went back to hiring police officers from the department. seems to work a lot better.
And we were talking
you know,
about that, Mr. Hardy and I were talking about,
Yeah.
exactly, and I think
Yeah,
that's,
no, that's just something that, I mean, if I can, there are a lot of good men down in the fire department.
Absolutely.
There are, you know, it was a very tough decision for me to be honest with you, to go through 4 men that came in for the provisional chief, and each one had some special qualities that I liked, that I really did at the end of the day. So there are a lot of men down there, and I believe we have one late woman down there, but there are a lot of good people down there that are very well qualified to serve as the fire chief.
Absolutely.
Going forward. There's no need to go outside.
and I think that if we could do some sort of an ordinance that would make this a in-house appointment for permanent, taking it out of civil service is not a bad option to look at. But it would have to be under the guidelines that there's an ordinance that says that we have to hire within our department. Because you're right, and to Mr. Hardy and his members, they shouldn't have to work their whole career, come up through the ladders, and then their opportunity, their day comes to shine, and they're passed over because we're gonna go get somebody from another community into the city of Everett.
Now, we're one of the only cities that are still hiring firemen, that are still promoting firemen. So we've been I think we've been very good to the fire department here in the city of Everett. We have we'll have with this new group of 11 coming in, well over, Craig, what's the exact number of the 11?
It'll be over 100.
Over 100, you know, so where a lot of communities are, you know, through attrition, aren't filling. You know, we're even thinking about maybe doing some more, you know, we're having some conversations with the fire department, and my plan is that, you know, actually bringing Mike on has been great. We're trying to have a better line of communication. We have a good working relationship with the fire department. We want to have a better relationship with the union members. Looking at things like rapid response vehicles, you know, really getting more training for the men to do more. I think a lot of the firemen recognize that, you know, we're doing a lot of, you know, calls for service these days, and doing a lot of medical calls. And then, you know, we get that person ready and up and ready to you know, for a contractor to come in and take that person and deliver them to the hospital, you know. So it might be time that we do that, you know, and those are some of the conversations that, you know, we're gonna continue to have these next few months with the fire department. Cause a lot of the, you know, in the interviews I had with the four gentlemen for this department, I think one of the gentlemen who, he's only got about a few months left on the job, was actually saying that the job has changed. It's no longer, you know, we used to put fires out, we're actually doing more of the medical stuff, so why aren't we receiving the benefits of that, right? So
Sure.
those are some of the things that I want this next chief to really work on, you know, effectively doing this type of stuff.
Mr. Mayor, I'll be very truthful with you, and I'm gonna yield the floor in 1 second, Counselor. If this comes out of committee the way it stands tonight, I cannot vote for this. I cannot support taking this out of civil service without having some sort of a guarantee that we're not going to take and make anybody change.
I don't blame you.
If
I
we
wouldn't
could
either.
put that ordinance together and bring this out of committee, I would definitely have a difference of opinion. But the way it stands tonight, I absolutely under no circumstance could vote for this. But I think it's in work in progress, and I think that's something that we could work on and not have to necessarily rush through it and make it the right for everybody in the city.
I mean, you know, if we need to take some time, I'm not in a rush for this. I mean, I'm fine with having more conversations with the union, with all of you. I don't want this to feel like we're shoving anything down anyone's throat. But just want you to take into consideration some of the things I said to you.
Absolutely.
But I will definitely, if we can, I don't know, you know, I know maybe Mr. Burley may know, or Mr. Matarazzo may know. Councilman, City Clerk Cornelio was saying we can put an ordinance together doing that, then I would be, you know, I would actually be very happy to do that.
Sure.
And make sure that they came, that the chief would come from within the ranks of the Everett Fire Department. Absolutely.
I'm just gonna ask one last question, Craig, to you.
Yep.
Would it be open to your members with having the promise, and under city ordinance, we have, by law at that point, we can't go outside the department at that point. Would it be acceptable to your members to take this out of civil service with that ordinance in place at the same time that we cannot hire anybody beyond the department limits? Because nobody, I believe, wants to do that, and the mayor definitely doesn't, and we don't.
I mean, the union stance would still be, if that was gonna be an ordinance of that, there's no need to take it out of civil service then.
Well, I think there is, and I agree with the mayor on the fact that the chief at that point becomes beholden of the administration, becomes beholden of the city council as a whole, and becomes more of a department head and a leader, and amongst the others, and not the way it stands today, but we can have a further discussion on that. Thank you.
And just if I can make one point on what the mayor said earlier about the chief, just let me give you a quick history on the chief. Probably about, let's say, 6 years ago, we had to file a grievance because the chief's exam wasn't even being posted or offered to our members. So there's a long history of this, where it might have even been 8 to 10 years ago, but we had to file a grievance because the chief's exam wasn't even being offered to our members. Finally, we won the grievance, and now it has been offered, but the members, as the mayor stated, was the guys weren't expecting Chief Butler to leave, so they never took the exam. Right now, we have many members that are aspiring to be that because they see the opening and they see the opportunity. So I just wanted to make that point clear. That's why we've had a lag in that.
Mike's on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't think a lot of people see the chief leaving in such a quick amount of time either, and I agree that if he had known otherwise, it would have been a different circumstance. But yeah, I'm glad that they're offering it now, and we can move forward on that matter, and that issue is no longer arise. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
A little confused here. If we took it out of civil service and we made an ordinance saying you had to go through the rankings, if you're gonna go through the rankings, why would you take it out of civil service?
That's exactly my point. I don't understand. If we were gonna make that ordinance, I would see no point to take it out of civil service, because my question to the city would be, why do you wanna take it out of civil service if you're gonna keep it through the ranks? That would be my question.
Right. And the other question I had was,
Can I answer that?
yeah, sure, go ahead.
So if you have a chief out of civil service, he's, you know, from the union, right? I mean, he's in civil service, he's, you know, sometimes maybe not as an effective manager as you want him to be, you know? And not saying that Chief Butler wasn't, you know, but now you have someone that is an effective manager. You know, sick time abuse, overtime. And we spent $1 million in overtime last year. We have, you know, some members, you know, not a lot, but we have a very few people that abuse the sick time. I mean, 90%, 99% of the guys are great. You know, we've offered benefits, they take them, but there are some that need to be, you know, we haven't maybe done the best job in managing some of, you know, listen, you have 100 men, not 100 are perfect, right? Right. So, you know, the police chief, non-civil service, every department head in this building is non-civil service. Now, there are cities that they have department heads that are civil service. They've been, you know, they're unionized and so forth. Now, would you want the city auditor and the chief of staff and the city treasurer to be in civil service and be, you think, you know, or do you want them beholden to the, you know, to the taxpayers, to the residents, to the mayor, to the city council? I mean, just different train of thought, that's all. I mean, I just see it, that, having this person be, someone that, you know, you choose on the merits of their ability to, let's be honest, a couple of guys who took the exam, that are, you know, you're not gonna further go down below deputy chief anyways, so you're gonna probably work within the deputy chiefs, but maybe go down to a captain, maybe a captain who lives in the city, you know, lives in the city, stayed in the city, you know, pays taxes in the city, you know, might look at him, you know?
So you're saying something like, so we took out a civil service,
Yeah.
okay? And you have to go through the rankings. You went through the rankings, you didn't like anybody. Now you can go outside the city? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'd say no. I'm saying, you know, say I wanted to pick someone who, you know, that lives in the city, and, you know, and I wanted them to be the chief of the department, you know, is that a problem? I mean, you know, I don't wanna say it without offending anyone who's been
No,
in
I
the role,
understand
or
that.
been in the role
Yeah.
before, you know, it's very hard when you put a chief in there from civil service to say you wanna move them out and bring somebody else in, because they're not doing a good enough job. Right? I have more discretion to say, you know what, you know, that this person I put in here hasn't really worked out, I'm gonna try somebody else. Now, from civil service, it's very difficult to move that chief. So, at the end of the day, that's the issue.
Well, earlier we said that we would you agree on if we took it out of civil service, but you
Yeah.
have to go through the rankings
Yeah,
with an audience. Right, what I'm saying is, what if you did that, now you have through the rankings, and whoever we picked wasn't doing a good job.
there's 100 guys, I'm sure there's probably about 50, 60, 70 guys that will do a great job.
Right.
I'm sure we'll effectively, we would love to do the job and manage correctly, and, you know, at the end of the day, I feel bad for any chief of any one of these departments, because I can imagine it's difficult to effectively manage some time, and also want to give the guys everything that they deserve too. So it's, you know, I would love to pay these guys more and more, and, you know, my firemen and my policemen, but, you know, you know, we're held, you know, taxpayers look at us and say, hey, you know, what's going on here, right? I mean, you gotta be held responsible, you know, there's gotta be some responsibility, and,
Right.
and to be honest with you, you know, $1 million in overtime, to me, is not unacceptable. I don't believe in it, and I don't wanna see it anymore happen. And so I'm gonna hold this next chief responsible on, you know, he's gonna hold his guys responsible. When that last guy calls out sick or bangs out or something, that guy will be responsible for putting a piece out of service. You know, I don't wanna do that, I don't wanna jeopardize safety, but someone needs to be held responsible in making sure that all the men who are supposed to be at work come into work. You know, all the different, the upkeep of the buildings. I mean, there's no reason why some of these buildings should be the way they are today.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just, you know, just very difficult. You understand? I think I want to put somebody in there it's going to be beholden to the city, to you, to me.
Thank you. Yes, I am.
I mean, the mayor's obviously mentioned, and he's hammering it about sick time and overtime. I just want to state that my members do not abuse it, and there is a section in our contract that states sick time and how it could be policed, so to speak. My members, as you know, we just are hiring, I believe, 12 right now, are getting on, I believe 11 or whatever the situation is. We have been, let's say, undermanned, and that is the result of that. We're on our job, we do have injuries, we do have people that get hurt and go out long-term. So for my members to be sit here and for the mayor to state that they abuse sick time or abuse the overtime, that is not true. I just want to say, and there are checks and balances, and Chief Butler does keep on us about that. If a man is out for a while, he does do the proper procedures and send letters. So I just want to let the citizens know, if this is on TV, that my members do not abuse the sick time or overtime. Yeah, so that doesn't happen.
It is on TV, and you know, can I just answer that question? I didn't say that all members. I said there's very few members that do that.
Another question in regards to that. What are the sick time policies for the department now?
Sick time policy is we get 15 sick days annually, and if you use, I believe it's 3 tours or 4 tours in a 4 or 3 month period, the city can ask for evidence or ask for questions on why you've been out ill.
Medical note?
Medical note, yes, from a doctor.
And does that have to be brought in automatically, or is it?
No, the chief would have to issue a letter to the
Okay.
member.
So it would be like a written warning, you need a medical.
Correct, and the chief has done that in the past and does do that.
So there is some type of mechanism that was done on a
There is.
contractual level?
Yes, there's checks and balances.
All right. Thank you. Councilman Capone?
If I may, it's not a question, but just a quick point, and then we'll move on from there. If there are any other questions, we could ask them, but it's a pretty big topic. Obviously, we're not in a rush because we have a process going forward that's
We
going to
have time.
resolve itself. We've got time. The mayor has said that, you know, there's room for discussion with the department. I know the union members would want to talk about it. It seems like there's a little confusion among the colleagues. I don't think we're going to resolve this evening, and we've already spent about 35 minutes on it. I'd be proposing that we postpone it for further time.
Grant
But
further time?
but if there's other questions that councils want this evening, by all means. But before we go too much further in it.
Okay, so that's in the form of proposal?
I
Questions?
have one more question.
Councilman McLaughlin?
The mayor and Mr. Hardy have both stated that the members aren't abusing sick time, and but we are spending $1 million. At the end of the day, we are spending $1 million. So if there's only a small number of people that are abusing it, something's going wrong, because it's $1 million of a line item. So whoever is or isn't abusing it, or whatever the case might be, there is still $1 million being spent annually on overtime, which is a lot of money. I think we can all agree to that. And I think that that is something that we need to look at, and I agree that it's something that maybe we can rein in a little bit next year. We can do it a little bit better, and we can spend that $1 million in other places, and we can, do some more upgrades to a fire station, or we can do some, buy another piece of equipment, or whatever the case might be. But to spend $1 million on a small fraction of 100 men, something doesn't sound right, to be truthful. Something doesn't equal a
Right,
good.
and I don't think we need to start discussing
But I don't think,
stuff in our contract.
and I agree that
Mr.
we're
President.
gonna end it there, and we're
Right.
gonna
Yeah,
ask
this
for
is, we don't
further
want to
time.
have contractual language,
Yep.
excuse
I mean,
me.
it's-
No one said,
Yeah.
no one here said that all the members are
Right.
abusing certain things.
I
Okay?
think what it's
I'm
going to
gonna
warrant,
second,
Mr. Mayor.
I'm gonna second
Right.
Council Capone's motion.
If
Yeah.
you, if, you know,
Hold on just a minute.
if you want to
Through
have,
the-
I
Through the
mean,
chair, Mr. Mayor.
if you want to have more time, that's fine, but I think there's really probably no more discussion that we can have on this issue, that there's no more information I can give you, and I don't think there's any more information that the president can give you. I'd rather see you bring it to the body and have a vote, and if you vote it down, you vote it down, but,
Well, I think we need to do an ordinance first. I think we need to write some sort of an ordinance.
oh, okay.
Okay.
If you want to write the ordinance, that's fine also.
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out, which way to go here. So what I'd like to do is, the first proposal, and it was seconded, is to grant further time so that we can have further discussion on it. Once we have further discussion on it, we'll invite the union, the mayor, the human resources director, with all of us as well, to come in.
So when you
with
grant
the
further
act-
time,
with
you're
the
gonna have
acting-
another meeting then? We'll have another meeting to discuss this again. Is that what you're saying?
I'd like to actually see if we can get some type of resolution and some type of clarity, because right now, it's unclear which way we're gonna go with this. And I don't wanna jump the gun on it and then put it out to the membership as a non-recommended item. You see what I'm saying? So I'd like to see if we can get some type of item out there that we can actually take a look at before we put it to the body.
Mr. Chairman, I would respectfully disagree. I thought we were asking for further time so that we could work on an ordinance, not to have another conversation with these individuals that are here tonight, because
Are you clear, Counselor?
I'm as clear as I can be. I'm
So
as
you're
clear as the
crystal clear
fact that
on
we
this
need
item.
to
Counselor?
create an
You're
ordinance.
crystal clear on this item. You
Crystal
understand civil service, you understand there's no,
I
there's
understand.
no, there's no overtime abuse, there's a contractual language with the overtime abuse, there's a mechanism. already
Let's
in
step
place.
back and, let's
I
not
mean-
stop pointing fingers on
Oh, no.
abuse and stuff like that. Here's the issue. The issue is that you have a non-civil service department head who will manage the department as a true manager. And not saying that the prior chiefs have not done that, but now you have the ability as the mayor, if you believe that that department head is not doing the right thing, you have the right to change it up and bring somebody else in. I mean, with the way it is now, once you get somebody in there, they can be in there for 20 years. Sometimes I think having the same person in a position for 20 plus years, it could be an unfair advantage to some others that are in the rank and file that should have the ability to be the chief, to also show their talents. There's been a lot of people who've probably been, who've lost the ability to be chief of police and of maybe not police anymore, but of fire, due to the fact that, mayors didn't have the ability to seek out, different candidates to run the department. That's all. Let me tell you, let me go back. Mr. Hardy is right. Due to the fact that we didn't have, some people, the new guys that come in, they're going to help with the vacation picks. And when you have guys out on vacations in the summer and you have to, backfill, you have to have, minimum man, we have to have 17 members on working for the day. You usually have scheduled 25 guys. If you have 5 guys on vacation, you're down to 20. You have a couple guys out long-term sick, or bang, now all of a sudden you get one guy calls out sick. What I'm trying to say is that one guy who calls out sick, don't call out sick. I know it's easy to say and done, but you have 5 guys on vacation. You have a couple of long-term guys out sick. That one guy who bangs out sick, now all of a sudden you're causing overtime. We have to stop that. Am I saying that person is abusing is doing that on purpose? No, I'm not saying that. But now now you have a chief who's gonna make a decision. I can't keep spending monies in overtimes. Overtime. Work with the guys on their vacation picks. Work with the guy who's calling in sick and saying, hey, listen, can you come in? Or do I gotta take a piece out of service? Or the chief, that you just need someone to kind of think out of the box. We're not saying that people are abusing anything down there. I have a great fire department. I'm very proud of the guys that work in this fire department. I truly am. I just want the ability to choose who should run the department. That's all. Plain and simple. Erase everything else that's been said by Mr. Hardy and myself. I would like the ability to choose who should be the mayor, not a test. Oh, yeah, you'd be the fire chief. I don't want a test telling me who I should pick as the fire chief. Okay, some guys maybe aren't the best test takers, but some guys can really get morale going. And you know what? And I think we actually need a little pick me up down the fire department. One issue, the guys want to wear red shirts on Fridays. I think it's a great idea. But prior chief didn't think it was a great idea. Now, Mr. Hardy, did you guys all want to wear red on Fridays? It's a what is that called?
That's for the troops. The firefighters wear red shirts on Friday to support the troops.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea.
Absolutely.
This prior fire chief, who I love, David Butler, I truly love, didn't think the guys should wear red shirts. Now, can I say, David, chief, make them, civil service chief, he's gonna do what he wants. I can't fire him over that, but I'm gonna say, to build morale, chief, we're part of management, allow the guys to do that, because the guys wanna do that. It's just, I'm asking you, as the mayor, give me the ability to not have to go through a test process to hire the chief, even though the chief that I just put in provisionally probably would be one of my top choices, or probably is my top choice. But give the next mayor, the mayors down the line, the ability to choose who should be the chief. Pass the ordinance, make sure it comes from the rank and file. We've done it for the police department, you do it for the city auditor, you do it for the treasurer, you do it for the city solicitor, all very important positions also, so that's all I'm saying. And again, I stand by my men down there. Whatever you decide, I also stand by you guys. Mr. Hardy and I have a good relationship, and we're trying to get that to even a better level. So I want to thank you for your time.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes, I just want to go back to what Council McLaughlin stated about the $1 million overtime thing. What we're missing out is that we just hired 11 people. So these 11 hirees, once they are out of the fire academy and they're on our rigs, that is 11 more men on our department. That will, right there, if you do 11 men and you want to ballpark it, that's $1.1 million the city just put into our budget. That's roughly what it costs to have a firefighter here.
Mr. Hardy, what's your minimum staffing levels?
Minimum staffing on the rigs is 16 with a deputy and an aide, so it's 18.
So 18.
18 members.
One bangs out, that causes minimum staffing level to go down.
If all the guys are on vacation, as the mayor stated, roughly we have about 24 men on each group.
Okay. So pretty much 6 guys can.
With injuries, yeah, and stuff comes along like that. But, for the mayor to be stating here tonight, and he said it a few times, so I do want to comment on it, about taking a piece out of service. Our city right now, granted, we're small in size, but population, as you know, is vast. And whatever the census numbers are, I believe they're probably under, because the city is populated. We see it. We go in the homes. If I'm working today, if I could tell you the calls we were in, it's definitely a different climate in these houses. So to take a piece out of service, all the mayor would be doing there is making my men in danger and taking tools away from us, because the best tool we got is manpower. So for that statement to be said, that's
I have
just
like a political debate. I didn't say take a piece out of service. I said hold the guy who's going to bang out sick responsible for possibly jeopardizing the safety of the people. That's what I meant.
Thank you for clarifying that.
In the last
Mr.
10
Mayor.
years, I haven't taken a piece out of service. I haven't laid off a guy.
No, you haven't.
And I've promoted probably 30 or 40 guys in the city. With no other, check around any other community. I don't think anyone's hired any firefighters. In some communities, like maybe the city of Malden, are laying guys off right now. So I think I've been very good to the fire department and the citizens of the city.
Mr. Mayor, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Why now? Why are we doing this now?
Well, I've been trying to do this for
I know, you
5
tried
years now,
2
I
years
think.
ago, but it didn't,
Yeah.
go forward.
Because
we had a chief that
it's
was,
just if it doesn't happen if I'm mayor, it's fine. I have the provisional chief Carly, who is definitely my pick, who's going to be the chief. He'll take the exam again. He'll score top 3, and I'll be able to grab him anyways. I have no problem with that. I want you all to just look at it as for management, just kind of understand what benefits that a chief executive has by choosing who we'd like to run the department, rather than have an exam telling him who should run the department. That's all, plain and simple. I've never browned out a piece. I've never jeopardized the safety of the residents of the city. I've been very good to my men in the fire department, and I will continue to do that. So if there was any comments made that people, that we do have, you know, in my human resource director can tell you, the chief of the fire department can tell you, there are a couple people who do abuse. Now, couple, maybe one or two, okay? The other 98, 100 guys, excellent, excellent men. I'm very proud to be their mayor. I'm very proud to have them as firefighters. So the issue is, let's not talk about anything else other than minimum manning and all the other stuff. The issue is having the mayor have the ability to choose the fire chief. That's all.
Councilman McLaughlin.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to go back to a couple of quick, brief points. One, you said, am I crystal clear on this? I am crystal clear that we need to write an ordinance and invite these members back.
Do we have any other questions?
No, I'm going to make a statement. I excuse both with customary thanks.
Excuse the customary thing.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. Mayor, I think we have,
I'm sticking around.
yeah, can you stay around? Yeah, yeah, just stay there. Thank you, gentlemen, for appearing tonight. Councilman McLaughlin.
I just want to make a statement, which is that I'm crystal clear that the next step that we should do is write an ordinance and then invite these members back to talk about the ordinance that we draft before we go and send it out to the floor. And that's where I was going with my original thought. It wasn't to say that I understand civil service completely.
Okay.
It was the next step is not to bring them back to have another conversation that we had tonight. It's to write an ordinance and then bring them back and discuss the ordinance with them and get their opinion on the ordinance that we're going to offer through this committee out to our full body. So that's where I wanted to go
So
with this.
that's where you wanted the motion to go.
That's
Okay.
why I wanted to motion it.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were having questions or
No,
other
I think-
thoughts on
I
anything
honestly
else.
believe the next step should be that we try to draft an ordinance and then invite the mayor and the chief, the president of the union, who is a very dear friend of mine, back before this council body to talk about the ordinance before we vote on it as a whole.
Yeah. Actually, that should come from the administration, the ordinance. So if there was a vote tonight, a motion made and seconded for the administration to come back with an ordinance.
Yeah, you can just refer it back to sponsor then. Then I'll come back with the ordinance. I don't know, I mean, if you want
Because
to do the
right now,
ordinance
I-
and then,
Mr.
I don't even know.
Mr.
Whatever
Mayor,
you-
I don't know what's going on with that,
I
because
would make a motion.
we may vote on that, we may not vote on that to do that.
I would,
If we have a tie vote here, it does not go out with a favorable recommendation out of the committee, so that's what I'm saying. I mean, if someone wants this to stay in civil service, that's the way they would vote. If they don't want it to stay in civil service and they want to choose the ordinance, they would go that way. Councilor Capone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we could just ask the mayor to step back in, because if we're going to be requesting an ordinance to come from his office, I'd prefer to have whatever his preference is. If you prefer to refer this back to sponsor and then give you an opportunity at your leisure to put it together, or grant further time and get it together, what's your preference on it?
Whatever you think, but we could have an ordinance for you for, let's say, I know we're gonna, for the next meeting, not this Monday's meeting, but in 2 weeks, we can have that ordinance regarding keeping the, you know, is that putting the cart before the horse, or no, right? So you would do the ordinance first, write the ordinance, you'd vote on the ordinance, and then we would take up the issue regarding the civil service stuff. We can do that. We can write the ordinance, and then,
We're not, the only problem is we're not going to be reconvening until, what date?
well, it's funny you say that, because I will be calling, I am gonna be asking for a special meeting, so you'll have 2
To
meetings.
review the ordinance? Okay.
You're gonna, yeah, I'm gonna be asking
We're
for
not
a
gonna be,
special
no, wait a
meeting
minute,
coming
hold
up,
on.
so.
You're not going to be calling out for special meetings and all that stuff.
I know,
Forget
but
about it.
I'll give you, we gotta
Um,
get something done before the summer breaks, so.
Okay.
So I'll have on your next, not your next meeting Monday, but in 2 weeks, we'll have an ordinance on there regarding, that the chief will come from the rank and file of the department. And at that time, are you gonna be also voting yea or nay on the
It
other?
would be, I would think that we have to come out of here with a recommendation first. That's what I'm
Yep.
trying to accomplish now by doing that.
Oh, you can also
Mr.
recommend no
Chairman.
recommendation, out for, yeah, and
Mr.
let the
Chairman.
whole body just at that point vote on it.
So we would vote no.
We could come out with that as well. That's why. I'm
No
trying to-
recommendation and send it to your second meeting, not your next meeting, Monday night, but that second
The
meeting.
final
which will-
meeting.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, on the
Make a
motion,
motion on that.
if we voted to send it out with no recommendation
Mhm.
for 3 weeks from now, and we, at the same time,
Pending the outcome of the ordinance
and-
coming from
but
administration.
at the same time receive the ordinance, we would be voting on 2 items.
It would be
that
2 items.
That
One,
would
to take
be
it out of civil service.
subject to the same subject matter
It
on the
would be the
next
same
council meeting.
subject matter.
But there would be two items, which one would be the ordinance and one would be the committee's recommendation.
Yes.
Is that
So it
correct?
would be one, taking the chief's position out of civil service, and the other one would be to have that governed by the ordinance
Yep.
itself, and/or keeping the civil service piece. So it would be 2 different,
And at that meeting, we could vote to kill the whole thing, which would leave it in civil service
absolutely.
permanently. So we're making no commitment tonight to take it in or out of civil service. All we're doing is referring it to the
No
next
recommend,
meeting.
this is the recommendation. No recommendation pending the ordinance.
Correct. So I'm going
I'll
to,
put that in the
I'm
form
going
of a
to
motion.
renege my second on
Can you-
further time.
Thank you.
I'm gonna renege that, and I'm gonna make a motion that we refer this, and I apologize, I don't have my calendar, but that we refer this to the council meeting of June 27th.
It would be the 27th.
Second meeting?
It would be the 27th.
27.
So make a motion that we refer this to the June 27th meeting.
June 27th. And with no recommendation?
With no recommendation,
And
and at the same time, we will receive the ordinance from the administration.
to have the ordinance to the whole body at
Correct.
that time, at that meeting.
Correct.
Okay.
I would second that.
Motion made and seconded to have this come out of committee, no recommendation, and also for the June 27th meeting to have the ordinance prepared by the administration come with it, so that we at that meeting could either accept or kill it. One, that would mean that it would be accepted, and that's how the new ruling would be. It would be through the ordinance, and/or it would be killed, and it would stay in civil service. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman?
Just for the record, I won't be here on the 27th, but I don't think you really need me, but if.
We just need the ordinance, Mr.
Yeah.
Mayor.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman
if I
Capone?
could we suspend the rules and take item number 3? It's the only other piece that I have that I'm.
Motion
sponsoring. I have a
made and
family
seconded
court this evening.
to take item number 3. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Item number 3. This is a resolution up by Councilors Frank Capone, John McKinnon, and Peter Napolitano, that the police chief and the mayor, and a representative for the patrolman union, and a representative for the auxiliary police, meet with the Public Safety Committee to determine how the auxiliary members can be of assistance to the community.
Councilman Capone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we could please have a representative from each of those units. So if we have the Patrolmen's Union, a representative from the Auxiliary Police Department, we have the mayor
Just
here.
come up and state your names and titles, please, so we have them for the record. Gentlemen,
One from each.
they can come up. They can come up
Simple,
on
I
this
think
side.
one's probably the best, so.
Who's going to be speaking from the auxiliary? Okay. Please state your name and title, please. You have to speak it into the microphone.
Just press that button to.
Mr.
transfer.
McCabe, did you do that? Did you speak for the record?
Michael Jufrey, Lieutenant in the Everett Auxiliary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. McCabe, did you already? Make sure it's on, though. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, Jeff McCabe. I'm President of the Everett Police Patrolmen's Unit.
Thank you. Councilman Capone?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Officer McCabe, are you also representing the police department as well, or just?
Mr. President, I have a communication from the police chief. You want me to read it?
Could we have that, please?
Yeah, you want it?
Counselor?
You guys have one?
You want me to read it, John? All right. This is a communication from Chief of Police Steve Mazie, dated 9 June 2016. I apologize I cannot be in attendance this evening. I am writing in response to 2 matters on the agenda relative to the auxiliary police and bike safety. The status of the auxiliary police has not changed since the last time we met, Currently, we have not used them and will not in the near future due to a variety of issues. One of the biggest issue was carrying of firearms, which they are currently prohibited from doing, and the safety of the members. In the past, have had numerous conversations about the organizations, functions, and duties of the auxiliary police, and have to take a longer look at how we would utilize them in the future, if we were to do so. In these modern times, with rapidly changing and complex issues, we need to do a thorough examination on how and what they would look like. In regards to the bike safety, we have been and will continue to distribute bicycle helmets to children on the streets. In addition, we have in the past and are planning on conducting a bicycle safety program for children in our city. I have tasked Sergeant Hannon from the traffic unit to research and put on future agendas the Massachusetts state bicycle regulations so we can consider adopting them at the city level. In order to be able to enforce bicycle safety regulations, a city must adopt the regulations locally first. With the warm weather here, we also hope that our bike officers can be a role model for younger bicyclists on our safety streets. We have started patrols, and they have been out for a couple of weeks now. Any further questions, contact the chief. Thank you for that, Mr. Mayor. Councilman Campolo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much for providing the letter. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. I know this has been an ongoing issue for a long time, and we're just trying to find a solution that works for everybody. We're very fortunate to have men and women who are willing to volunteer their time to help out the community, and I heard the letter, the variety of issues, whatever the concerns are, but if there's a way that we can utilize the volunteer efforts from folks that want to help the community, it can help alleviate some of the burdens on the police department to free up their time to do other more heightened duty. No one's looking, at least from my part, not looking to cost anybody a job or cost any overtime, but I'm thinking that if we have a crew of folks who are willing to volunteer their time, whether it be visibility at the housing authorities, or helping out when we do some of our celebrations in the various parks, or the homecoming day parade, so that we can put our other trained officers in another position to be safeguarding security on another level. I think that's a great thing. And I'm just grateful that we have people who are willing to volunteer their time. And I know that whatever the concerns are and issues are, I'm sure we can work them out. If it's a training issue, something of that nature, I'm sure that we can put something there. I've been speaking with the auxiliary, and my understanding is that they've agreed to forego firearms, which I can understand would be a huge liability issue for a city if someone isn't properly trained. But if the auxiliary is willing to forego firearms and they still want to help the community and donate their time, I think it's a great thing. I'd like to get what the individual concerns might be from the different parties and see if we can't kind of resolve it. And again, the idea is not to take functions away from the police department. They're highly qualified, highly skilled. They have a function to do, not looking to cost anybody any detail loss or anything of that nature. Just utilizing volunteer efforts from the community to help out and actually enhance the police department and allow them to do whatever. So whomever would like to go first, I'd just like to hear where we're at.
Counselor, on that, just to clear a couple of things up. First of all, it's a non-paid position. They're free, the auxiliary. And also, I believe that they were going to forego their firearms within the elderly centers. I think that's the agreement that you guys came up with. Okay. And that was agreed upon?
By the chief.
By the
At
chief?
the last meeting we had about.
At the last
8
meeting?
months ago, yeah.
At 8 months ago? Okay.
And we were supposed to get sworn in, and we were just waiting to hear, and the chief hasn't gotten back to us. He said everything was kosher, and here we are.
Okay. I just wanted to add those. Now, who would want to take it first? Mr. McCabe?
Yes, thank you. Obviously, in regard to the bringing back the auxiliary, I'd have to defer to the chief. Obviously, that falls under his discretion. From a union point of view, obviously, we'd be concerned, obviously, as mentioned, issues about training, hiring, ongoing training, the job description, the scope of what they're expected to do. These are things, obviously, that we can work out
Sure.
with the chief, but like I said, once again, I haven't sat down with the chief regarding this. I would like to probably sit down before I actually make anything really official here. Going back to your previous statement, though, in regards to the housing authority, I believe, given some of the situations that we deal with and the calls we go to,
Elderly housing, not
I believe
housing
somebody said
authority.
housing authority, though.
It was just elderly housing, that was agreed upon.
In the past, we did have an elderly affairs officer. Prior to some of the budget issues 7 or 8 years ago, I
Sure.
believe we had to remove that position. Obviously, that's a position we'd like to see retained at some point when we can do that. So in regards to that, I believe we had that covered for a long time, and it should probably fall back on us. But at this point, like I said, I would like to have a chance to sit down probably with the chief and maybe with the mayor and see what their plan is, where they'd like to go with it. before
To
it
clear
comes.
that up, Mr. McCabe, they would be almost a 3-day maximum shift there type thing, and that's what they would be doing. It wouldn't be elderly officer affairs that they would be doing like that position did. So that's what they would be looking at. That's
I'd
what,
just
that's
like
what
to
I
see a
was,
complete description. If somebody has a
Absolutely.
description for something made up, I would like to see it.
Oh, yeah, you have to.
And run it by the chief. I mean,
Absolutely.
ultimately, he makes the ultimate
the chief
decision.
and yourself would have to sit down and agree to this, so. Hold on, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman. You know, the chief and I have spoken regarding the auxiliary police department for many years. I think some of the issues were, you know, prior years when we had there was no mandatory retirement age for some of them, and we had some of the older guys on the department carrying guns, and just was a little scary. I think one of the issues definitely is guns. I mean, you have some of the finer guys here in the department here in front of you, but you know, I would like to see, you know, almost like a cadet program where you have some of these guys taking the exam, guys that are on the list, on the police list, that you know, get them the experience and training and get to know the city, and you know, as we hire off the list, right? You know, you have 10, 20, 40, 100 guys in the auxiliary department, all guys that are on the list, guys, gals, excuse my friend, you know, excuse me, both men and women, that they getting to know the city already prior to them coming on as a police officer. Now, for members that are already on the auxiliary, of course, they'd be grandfathered in, and yeah, sure, we could always use additional resources and help. But you know, I've been after the chief to get it up and running and get you know, to work on it, and you know, I think together, you know, we should work on something, and definitely have an auxiliary department, but also have, you know, a lot of these, you know, I call them cadets, but the people that are on the list that want to become police officers, open it up to them, make it, you know, really have, I don't know if there's any training that they go to. I'm sure Chief Jordan can tell you about all the requirements that they have, but you know, no one's opposed to it. I think it's just been one of those things that kind of has, you know, got pushed on the back burner.
Sure.
There's so many other issues going on, but they've always done a wonderful job at, like Councilman Capone said, like the 4th of July festivities, you know, down in Glendale Park. They've always helped us out. I would love to take them and put them on details.
I don't think the
Unlikely.
union would be
You know,
too
but,
keen on that
Mayor,
idea.
Mayor, we can fix that, our fireman problem. There used to be an auxiliary fire department, too.
Auxiliary Fire Department.
Remember that?
I don't remember that.
That was a while
But
back, but.
But I think, Mr. Chairman, what we should do is, we should convene a meeting with the chief, the president of the chairman, the chief of the auxiliary department, maybe some members here, public safety, and kind of just see, you know, what other communities are doing, what, you know, and go from there. Like I said, the fault definitely lies upon, you know, the chief and myself for not getting up and running and putting it on the back burner. But no, one of the biggest issues was some of the guys that were carrying guns. I think a lot of the chief and I and others were concerned about certain people who did carry guns. So if you're saying tonight that there will be no carrying of guns
They're
anymore,
all gone.
yeah,
They're all
Yeah,
gone,
yeah.
and now everyone's been through law enforcement shooting training, just like the regular police officers. We
Yeah.
actually went with some
Chief,
of the
Chief
regular
Jordan,
police officers.
Chief Jordan, through
Yep.
the chair, just describe some of the training that you guys have been through
Well,
in regards to that. Thank you.
myself, State of Everett put me through the Reserve Academy out in Waltham a few years back, and some of my recent men have gone to the Reserve Police Academy in Randolph, and they all got certified. And now we wouldn't let anybody carry a weapon at all now, and we qualify every year, but we haven't qualified this particular year. The chief said he was going to have us do that a while back, but then that fell by the wayside too. We've gotten a lot of donations. All our vests and everything were donated by other police departments, New York Auxiliary Police Department, and we did a lot of work for Randolph. Randolph did a lot of work for us, and a lot of parades that we used to have here. We used to end up calling a lot of our other auxiliary officers to come over and help on the parades, from the school department parades, a lot of our details, the Harley Davidson runs and stuff like that. I mean, it was a lot of time. We came up with a lot of guys. We've come up with 15, 20 guys in a drop of a hat, just like that. We were just wondering, why the stalling, and we just want to get up and running again and get back to what we were doing before. We were like, this is probably the highest point we've ever been in. When I got on,
How many members?
25 years ago.
How many members?
Now, right now, we only have 15, but years ago, some of the council members that you had been here before was on the auxiliary, they used to have 100. But back then, their qualifications were like, you got an old rusty gun and out in the street you went. But now we have we're going on the standards a little bit better. I mean, we're actually following all the other departments like Randolph and some of the other ones. There was Melrose and Somerville. We're following all their standards, and we're trying to keep up with, there's Framingham Auxiliary. There's tons of them all across the, Massachusetts,
Chief, how
and
long?
United States and the
Chief,
country.
Chief Jordan, how long
Yep.
have you? How long has the auxiliary been in Everett?
74 years. We're trying to make 75.
Okay.
We were gonna
Now,
have a
would you
big
be-
reunion,
I mean,
you
there's been some ideas that have been thrown out here.
Yeah,
in,
yeah, and
some direction that
there
should be
were
probably
things that we
going.
used to do before, and he was on. He's been on a few years before I was, and they did a lot of things too.
Did you have gentlemen who?
I just want to go back to touch upon
Count-
what
all
you
right.
said in
Mr.
regards to the
McCabe?
cadet program. I know Malden has had a successful cadet program, and what that is those are young men that are potential hires that are taken from. Sorry?
Men and women.
I'm sorry, I apologize, thank you. Men and women that are potential hires that are brought in, hired in a civilian capacity, they wear a uniform, they come in and they're indoctrinated and trained into procedures, policies, in-house work, dispatching, report writing, things like that. I think that would be a huge benefit to the city and something to look
Well,
at.
it would get them
Should-
geared up. Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They'd be ahead of the game, and then we would actually have an opportunity to see what potential these prospective employees have and whether or not they're a good fit,
Sure.
whether it's a career for them or not. I mean,
That makes
that's something
sense.
we can look at and talk about, but
Yeah.
we have had that discussion in-house, and we are in favor of that. Obviously, the union, the chief, obviously, separate matter. I haven't had a discussion with him, and obviously I would, but I am on the same
I think
page.
everyone should sit down and talk anyway.
Yeah, we need to have a conversation. I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to the discretion of the chief to have, what kind of function or what kind of auxiliary department he'd like to have. Granted, I'm the mayor, but I don't like to micromanage my department heads. And what I will do is facilitate a conversation, but I will be honest with you. I do want to see a cadet program here in the city. Men and women who are on the list now that are going to be our newest police officers in the future, that they have the experience to work in the city with the auxiliary. And like I said, you have an existing department. I have no problem with the men and women that are on the auxiliary department currently today being part of that program. It's time.
Well, Mayor, you took a couple of good guys away from us.
I took some guys. They be working for us now.
Yeah.
Why don't
Oh,
we,
good, good.
no cross debate,
good.
why don't we do this in
Well, that's good, that
conversation?
actually, then some of the auxiliary members that are actually were on
Yeah.
auxiliary now working in
That's-
Forest
that-
now.
That's a good
The other
thing.
one's in Chelsea. The other one's in Chelsea.
That's good to hear.
So-
And that's what it should be. It should be an established program to that effect. And
Why don't we have some settled talks and discussions on that? I want to have Mr. Jufrey
Thank you.
actually speak.
Thank you, President. While I believe that the cadet program is of huge value, that was not our original mission statement. Nearly 75 years ago, we were established because of the Civil Defense Act. And we, according to the Civil Defense Act, we are appointed by the mayor or council of the city we serve. The chief of police decides how he uses us, but we are the city's resource that is given to him to use as he sees fit. But we serve at the city's mayor's and council's pleasure. And although I mean it might be helpful to be able to do some of the paperwork, we're not simply there for the paperwork. We are there for civil defense. We're there to back the police up when no additional help can be had at any price. When the call goes out in a natural disaster, other towns have their own issues to take care of. There will not be mutual aid. You'll have to rely on your own resources. This is a resource that has been squandered, has been allowed to atrophy. We really just need a mandate that tells us to get the training that we need and run with it. We can apply for grants, for equipment, for training. It does not
Have you
doesn't-
done that in the past?
They continuously say that we need a sign-off by the chief of police, or whoever essentially runs us. And out of respect, we have not overstepped. We can do this. I mean, we've gone to training before. We can, if there's a standard out there that we need to reach, we can achieve it. We are at 15 people because we can't really offer the training that these people want.
Well,
We
maybe
can't
with
offer
this-
them the details that they want to be able to be part of.
Maybe
I-
with more discussion?
Yeah,
This
no,
will
I
happen.
think, you know, I put a lot of blame on myself, and I think we should do is get together and see if we can work out something that get you guys back working. Things are going through my head right now where I could probably use some of you. So let's do that. I want to thank you for putting it on the calendar, and I will definitely work with Chief Jordan.
Lieutenant Jufrey.
Lieutenant Chief Jufrey on putting something together, and I'll let you know the progress of it.
What we'll do, I mean,
Are we allowed to get sworn in any date?
Yeah, let
through
me,
the chair, gentlemen,
Yeah, sorry.
what, the question was what? To be allowed to be sworn in?
Yeah, like, usually it was at the same time every year. We used to
What-
do
what
on
was it,
clockwork. It
what-
was usually around April of every year.
So it's bypassed
Yeah,
a
it's
little bit now.
bypassed that, but, you know,
That-
we've had it later before too, but we're just,
Mr. Mayor, I mean, on that, just so the 15 are secured in, is
Yeah,
there any
let me
movement on
just
that? Run it by the chief.
have a conversation with the chief and Chief Jordan. I mean, just to be sworn in, but not to be, you know, like I said, I really have no problem. I really haven't really studied it or looked at it and
Yeah.
understand why, you know, they're not being, activated. So let me just do a little.
Yeah.
we don't cost any money.
No, I know that.
We're zero.
Why don't we
Trust
make a
me,
motion to grant further time?
If there's
And
no other
then have
questions,
them
start doing
have the
details
there's
discussion.
no other
side streets
questions,
of the
we'll
city.
excuse the customary
Yeah.
thanks.
Is there any other questions, councilors? Councilman McLaughlin?
I guess if the mayor is going to set up further discussion, I guess we can wait for our questions. I don't know if it will be here at a committee meeting or if he's going to have a secondary meeting where, as long as we don't have a quorum, we can have a meeting with the chief and Chief Jordan to talk on some of the issues. But there are some.
I'd like to do it formally, so we can come out with a report.
Okay.
So what
So
we
then
could
I'll
do is,
ask-
we could grant further time. I think the motion's gonna be to grant further time while they're having their discussion, and then we want to report back from the mayor's office on the discussion.
And then we're going to invite Chief Jordan and the chief of police
Yeah, for questions.
for questions. Fair enough.
Absolutely.
Fair enough.
Is that fair enough? Are you all set, Councilor Del Sol? Yes, All right.
So I move that we excuse customary thanks.
Excuse the customary thanks. Thank you, gentlemen, for appearing tonight. Do we have any more?
Thank you
the
for
mayor?
your time.
Thank you.
I'm not sure.
Mr. Mayor, if you could just,
Yeah, sure.
all right.
No problem.
Thank you for all appearing tonight. You stay there, too.
On the piece, I'm glad to hear that we're going to move to discussions. I'd like to grant further time. I think our next meeting won't be till September, but by then, we should have some concrete discussion and have some sort of resolution on this matter. So I'd ask we grant further time.
And a report
with
back from the
report
mayor's
back
office?
At our next meeting.
Motion made and seconded to grant further time on this matter and to have a report back from the mayor's office, as well as, at that meeting, have the Chief Jordan and Chief of Police to come for additional questioning from
My
the
only
board.
question on it is, laying it over tonight, and you may have said it, but when does it come before us again?
It'll be September.
So we're losing all of the summer activities,
It will be in September.
so we're going to lose all of the summer activities.
Possibly,
Unless you want to call a special committee.
we could call
I would like to, I don't want to lose the whole summer with the 4th of July festivities, the
why don't we do
the
this?
Village Fest that we have.
I understand. Why don't we do this? Why don't you do, we're gonna make this motion here, have them both back at it, but what we can do is be in contact with the mayor's office, because I think he's gonna work on this sooner than later.
But do we need any official recommendation out of this committee before, so when are they gonna get appointed is my question?
That would be on the mayor right now. That's what we just asked, and he's going to talk to them and discuss it. And then we will know pretty much sooner than
So
later.
hypothetically, the mayor puts them before us on June 27th.
Yep,
Can they work the rest of the summer at that point
yes,
as an
If
active
they're
board?
activated, yeah.
yes, because they have to go through us at a regular meeting.
Okay, fair enough.
We
Thank you.
approve that, Counselor, so we'll be voting on that if that does happen. So the motion was to grant further time with a request from the mayor's office on any additional information that they would have, plus have the Chief Jordan and Chief of Police before us in September. Thank you for appearing. All those in favor?
All right,
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Who else is here now, Freddie? That we gotta get out of here, you got them back there, no? You got West now, and number 7 and 8? Motion made and seconded to take item number 7 off the calendar. Oh, the mayor's here for number 4. Bike path? Take item number 7.
Item number 7.
Yeah. Freddie.
All right, item number 7. This is a resolution by Council Buchanan to have the Health Department, City Service, Cemetery representatives appear at the Government Operations Public Safety Public Service meeting to figure out what needs to be done to curb the rat problem.
Could we have Mr. Nuzzo before us, please? You got one on 4. Yeah.
That was me, the rat problem down at McKinley Street, down at the Dunkin' Donuts.
If you could just state your name and title, please.
Frank Nuzzo, Director of Code Enforcement.
Thank you for appearing tonight. Sorry for the long
That's-
wait.
That's okay.
A lot of discussion, sorry.
Absolutely
But
important stuff.
if you have any information, we were requesting information. We were going to produce maybe an ordinance at some point.
Yes, I did some research. Our own ordinance doesn't really go into detail as far as dumpsters and rodent issues. I found Boston, part of their application process might be helpful to us, so I brought copies of it. It might be something you want to look at. We could, if you agree with it, maybe amend our ordinances and adopt this. So I got copies for the members here, if you want to just pass them down. And just to update you on the issue that brought all this to light.
Yes.
We've got a real good handle on it. Dunkin' Donuts down across from Pope John has really been working with us. They cemented the area that we were having the problem. They've cut down, the apartment building is working in conjunction with them. They cut out the overgrowth down there. It looks a million times better. The dumpster's being monitored by my guys,
Is
myself.
It's baited.
They haven't baited it, I don't believe. I'm sorry, not the dumpster, outside the.
Yes.
Yeah, both sides of the
Perimeter.
fence have been baited and sealed. I talked to people that live in Whittier Drive there. There's a few of them that are out there on a daily basis.
Uh-huh.
They update me, they haven't seen anything. I mean, I'm very happy with the results so far, but we are monitoring it, and we'll keep on it.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Any further questions?
Probably.
Councilman McLaughlin.
I had the opportunity to be in Whittier Drive in the past couple of weeks, and I talked to some of the residents down there regarding this issue, and they seemed all pleased on what had been done since our last meeting, and they seemed to not have no concerns of any major concerns on this issue or seeing any rodent issues down there. So I feel confident to, but I'm not sure if Mr. Nuzzo is recommending that we take the Boston ordinance and implement it into our ordinance.
Well, when the last time I was here, we said we were gonna talk about it, and
Okay.
I looked at our ordinance, and it doesn't get into specifics where Boston seems to. Might be something you just wanna look at, we can talk about, and maybe adopt it if you feel it necessary.
Council, what I'm gonna do is grant further time. We're gonna review the ordinance that was produced before us, and then we could come up with some type of ordinance ourselves.
I
Can
just-
do so.
Great.
I just want to say one more thing. There was an issue a few streets over from there, that there was some problems that reoccurred. There was problems there in the past.
Okay.
They've had another sighting. We've pamphleted that area. We're trying to isolate the area that it might be coming from, and we're working with the neighbors. So I just don't want them to think that we're saying everything's fine. There was another separate issue,
Okay.
okay?
But
Thank
I
you
also
very-
think some of this is generated from the cemetery in that area also, and I don't think that it's really a specific business as much as it's just field mice and so forth coming up from the cemetery, so.
Sure.
And I understand that issue. Thank you.
Okay.
Are we all set with questions? All right, seeing none.
Excuse me, customary thanks, and make a motion
Thank you for
to
appearing.
lay this
Thank you.
over and grant further time.
Motion made and seconded to grant further time. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? You have done so. Please read item number 4.
Can we make a motion to take item number 9 off the calendar, please?
Let's take number 4, since we have the mayor before us.
Okay, sure. Make a motion to take item number 4 off the calendar. I apologize.
Motion made and seconded to take item number 4. All those in favor? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank
All
you.
right. Item number 4 is a resolution by Councilor Michael McLaughlin, Richard Delasola, and John Hillen to look into the cost of adding both lighting and cameras along the bike path to increase public safety.
Councilman McLaughlin.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the mayor.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, we had a great opportunity to be down at the bike path in the last few weeks with the community growers program that they're doing down there. Have you guys been able to move forward? Unfortunately, we know that we had a serious crime down there when we put this piece on. There was a murder in the neighborhood, unfortunately. Have you guys been able to move forward with some extra lighting cameras? I have a sibling who actually abuts the bike path, so I see the area on a regular basis, and it is dark at nighttime. It is isolated. Maybe Mr. McCabe knows, do the police officers at nighttime travel on the bike path, either in a vehicle or on foot, just to see if there's anybody there's a lot of brush on both sides, and the mayor's done a great job this year of isolating that area as the spring cleanup day. But are we going down there and seeing and trying to move people away that is undesirables down there?
We have, in the evenings, we do patrols of the park, 7 Acres Park, the adjoining bike path. When the mountain bikes are deployed, they usually make it a point to travel the length of the bike path. And then we also have the patrols in vehicles that cover the sector and check the parks and check that area.
Yeah, no, that's great to know that the mountain, because I know that it's just some areas are tough for the vehicles, so it's good to know that the mountain bikes are getting down there in the spring and the summer, because that's when you're seeing the kids hang out down there, and not just kids, but, any undesirables that we don't want hanging around in a neighborhood like that, where we have residents on both sides of the bike path, whether it's the Cottage Street condominiums or the residents in the village. So to have them down there and try to move them along as quickly as we can, because you empty a lot of park, Sacramone Park, for example, you take them out of the park at 9 o'clock at night. Where are they going to head down to? They're going to head down to the bike path, and they're going to gather down there because it's a secondary park, excuse me. And so we're moving them out of Sacramone, and we're moving the problem over there. And then we're having issues that we don't want to have down there. So I don't know if you've been able to do anything, Mr. Mayor, with cameras or lights, looked at that area.
Actually, Counselor, I was just informed that there was supposed to be something going into the capital improvement plan for that. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
I don't know if we already did put it in there, or, is it in the, is it already in the CIP?
CIP, yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
the
believe,
lights
I
and
don't believe
cameras.
it, I don't believe.
I think it might be already in there. I think,
By seeing the response of,
Kevin?
I'm sorry, can we ask Mr., I didn't see Mr. Souza in the back of the room. Can we make a
Yeah,
motion to ask
I
Mr.
think we did,
Souza
right, Tony?
to come before
Yeah,
us?
so we did add, in the CIP, we did add lights and cameras for the bike path. So if that's something that you want to move forward with, we can bring that to an authorization for a vote in a more timely manner. Or maybe even, if you want to go quickly with that, we'll get it, maybe not for your next meeting, but your second meeting, your second meeting in June.
I think it would be important to be able to move where the nicer weather is coming. It's not that we're going into fall, winter, but the nicer weather coming. And you want to keep people into the city. You want to be able to have them feel safe walking at nighttime, or, and being able to stay in the neighborhoods. I don't know if Mr. Souza can talk on specifics as far as what we put into capital.
He's a
improvement.
planner, he can talk to you all night.
we have
He
testimony.
might fall asleep, but.
But no, again, this
response.
is for Ward 6 residents. It's a serious concern, and somebody who likes to go walking. I would like to
Who,
state.
you?
It's kind of a joke, Mr. Mayor.
Counselor, would you like Mr. Souza before us?
I would like to have Mr. Souza before us.
Motion made
You
and
and I
seconded to
should
have
walk the
Mr.
path
Souza
every
before
night.
us. All those in favor?
Maybe we won't get cameras
All
and
those
lights,
in
and you and I
favor?
will just walk at night.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Mr. Souza, just state your name and title, please.
Tony Sousa, Director of Planning and Development, and indeed, we have, yes, included funding for,
What does the
Security.
funding include, Mr. Souza, as far as quantity-wise? Do you know?
well,
roughly?
what we're asking for is for security cameras, lighting, and other amenities as well.
Okay.
We'd have to put it out for design and to do some design work along the stretch from start to finish throughout the Everett portion. So, but we have included the funding in the CIP, which is before you.
That's great. And if we could move forward on them, Mr. Mayor, and bring that to the council sooner than later, I would really appreciate it. In all seriousness, I think I know you guys are concerned about it as well, and I know that the police are doing a good job down there. I want to thank you, Jeff, and your men and women for what you do. But if we can keep an eye on that area so that we don't have an issue come this summer. Thank you.
Councilman Delasola?
Do you know how much we appropriated for that?
Off the top,
Yeah.
I don't know exactly.
I won't hold you to
I
it.
want to say it's about 400,000 or so.
Okay, will there be a call box? I know over in Arlington, coming towards us, there are emergency call boxes there. I mean, the cameras are nice, the lights are nice, but if something happened, you could scream all you want. No one's gonna hear you down there.
Certainly, I would tell you this, as part of the design work, we are going to be working with the chief, and what he needs for amenities there, for features there. So we're gonna design it with his input and full collaboration. So we'll make sure he has exactly what he needs.
Is Malden doing anything for lighting, cameras or anything like that?
Not to my knowledge.
On their path?
Not to my knowledge.
Their path is really, I would say, less secluded.
Yeah,
Correct.
It's more open.
Correct.
Yeah, if you think about it, going Commercial Street by Anthony's and then kind of going
Right.
behind Dockside and across there. So it's
Ours is kinda,
ours is a little more, which is nicer, but it's a little more remote. So,
on the lighting, are we talking just under the bridges, overpasses, or are we gonna be on
I'm sure it'll
the
be
businesses that are going
a
along the
total
bike
lighting
path?
plan the whole way down.
Correct.
Okay.
Good,
Maybe
good idea with the call boxes though. That we,
Yes.
yeah.
See if we can put something in like that.
Have we done, I think it's on the same topic here, we did a spring cleanup down there. Are we continued? I'm just worried about, I was down there myself and be a lot of help, but it was a mess. Are we gonna continue going down? Cause the way everything's overgrown, I mean, God forbid someone's ever hiding in there.
Yeah, so we're contemplating on doing something for, a more permanent fix. But also, if you do know that in our transit study, there is some talk about looking at the possibility of getting that Saugus line active for passenger use, so, where that would start, if it starts at the beginning of the bike path over there, West Street, and goes towards the Rotary. So we are, for now, we're gonna make sure we maintain the brush and keep it at the, contain it. We'll use some of our own resources. We may call a landscaper in who has some better machinery to do it. But, we definitely wanna make sure we, keep attacking the problem down there.
Our backs and hands only go so far down there.
Exactly.
All
All
set,
right,
Counselor?
thank you.
Well,
Your
thank you
second.
also for
Thank you.
being there on the cleanup day.
Thank you, no problem.
All
at
set, councilors? All right, excuse with the customary thanks, motion?
Thank you.
Motion made to excuse with customary thanks, all those in favor? All those
Aye.
opposed? The ayes have it.
I'm gonna make a motion that we refer this out with favorable action and ask the mayor to move swiftly on the capital improvement plan.
Motion made and seconded to move this out of committee for favorable action at our next meeting, and to ask the mayor to move favorably and quickly on this motion.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, you have done so.
Make
Make a motion to take
item number
eight-
5.
No, 8 and 9? Just take 8 first. I'll do 2.
Oh, no,
on
we
that.
have to do 2. Yeah, so he can leave.
These 2 that I'm requesting, like literally gonna be 2 seconds, that's it, so. Take number 8,
All right,
please.
number 8 is the West Nile and Zika virus.
Could we have the health director before us? Could you just state your name and title, please?
Elaine Silver, I'm the interim director and nursing supervisor for the health
Thank you for
department.
appearing tonight. Sorry to keep you so long.
That's okay.
Do
Sometimes
you
they
have a-
save the best for last, but I
Exactly.
guess I
Well,
wasn't that.
You're not last. So,
The update
update,
is what you
please.
want. The only update really to tell you on Zika virus is the fact that it is still in mostly Puerto Rico, nothing really into the United States. I know that most people did see the news recently that there was a child born in this country with the signs of Zika. That was someone who came from a country that had a high epidemic of Zika. The person came here to visit and unfortunately went into premature labor and did deliver a child who did have the symptoms. The Massachusetts Department of Public Health has been meeting with some academic researchers this past week, and they are looking in to see if there is a way to predict the population of mosquitoes and if their breeding areas are going to spread. We do advise anyone who is pregnant or will be traveling to a country that does have a high Zika virus that you go onto the CDC website, or if you plan on being pregnant and are traveling to these areas, that you do follow the precautions and the advisories to kind of keep yourself from being bitten.
thank you.
You're welcome.
That was a good update. Let me see. So basically, right now, there's no reported cases of it active in the state of Massachusetts.
No, there is nothing here.
Now, what about people going out and then coming back bitten?
We haven't heard of anything, and to be honest with you, the local Department of Public Health will not really hear anything. Anyone who actually is traveled to a country and comes back and is pregnant, the Department of Public Health and the CDC are recommending that they be followed by their obstetricians. They can have blood work done, whether they have or have not exhibited any symptoms of Zika. The child, the infant, will be given ultrasounds, in which time the obstetrician would be able to see any deformities. After a child is born, if they have the parent, the mother has tested positive or there is a symptoms, they are taking samples of the placentas, and those are sent out to the CDC.
Pathology. As far as the CDC hotspot, this is one of their hotspots, correct?
Well, the Puerto Rico is their hotspot right now here, and the money that has been allocated for Ebola is now being transferred
Shifted,
into Zika,
okay.
and they are in the process of possibly developing a vaccine.
Great. It's also, what, sexually transmitted?
Yes, they are saying that. Now they are still doing some more study as to how long and if it is a male that is transmitting it, and to see exactly when a pregnant woman would be in her most vulnerable time if she came in contact.
Okay.
It's still a lot of research.
Yeah,
It
they're
really
still
is.
working on it. All right, I want to thank you for the the research that you did. Councilman Della Sola.
Just a question, how long does it stay in the human body?
There's no definite, really guideline. They have said at times that they believe it could stay maybe in a male person for 6 months. The woman, they're not too sure. They mostly think that the pregnant woman is really bitten by a mosquito and she actually comes down with Zika. She has been exposed to it. But the problem being with Zika is that some of the symptoms are so mild, such as joint pain and fever, that you don't really pick up on it. It's not as prevalent as you think. They're still just so undetermined because most of the study and most of the research on most of these cases has been done out of the country. We haven't seen it here. And it has been around, as we remarked the last time, since 1943.
Really?
It has been present, but there has never been such a high number.
There's no count in Jamaica, is it? Because I'm going there in a few weeks.
Yes, there is. If
thank
the
you.
best way to put your travel plans is to stay in your own backyard, or stay in your house, or just go on the CDC website, and they give weekly updates as to where it is.
Well, I think Mr. Burley, me and John are going to have many friends when we come back. Thank you for the information.
You're welcome.
All set, Council?
It's also in Aruba. It's also in Santo
I just
Domingo.
came back
It's,
from Aruba. All right,
I,
I'm going
uh,
to end the conversation here now.
yeah.
My wife's probably watching this.
no, I actually canceled my cruise because it's in all 4 ports, so why bother?
Thank you for appearing. Excuse with the customary thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you for appearing. And,
Thank you.
A motion. They'll make a motion to refer back to sponsor.
Make a motion to refer this back to sponsor.
Thank you.
Second the motion.
I second the motion. Motion made and seconded to refer item number 8 back to sponsor. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Take item number 2 off the calendar.
Take item number 2. Yeah, we'll get them out of here now.
All right, item number 2 is the fire police department hiring.
That's mine, right? Okay, can we, actually, could we have Mr. Vetrano before us?
Do you want Rich?
Mr. Vetrano, just state your name and title, please.
Michael Vetrano, Human Resources Director.
Mr. Vetrano, do you have any updates on this for me? How it works? How, if there was anyone that was bypassed or anything like that?
On which
fire?
department? On the fire department?
Fire.
Everybody was hired per civil service regulations?
They were all hired per civil service regulations?
Yes.
Has there any people been on the list more than like a year, maybe 2 years, maybe possibly 4 for 2 layovers?
Unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that because of the short term I've been in the role. So
Okay. So, I mean, what I'm trying to get to is, there was mention made of that, and I said, well, let me check into it. So that's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to just check into that for me, if there was any individuals that were on the list. There was possibly 2.
There has been people on the list that have been bypassed due to the background investigations, like, for instance, they didn't live in the city.
Sure.
When they took the exam and stated they did live in the city, and when we went back and did the work to verify that they did not live in the city during taking that test. So, you know, there are, if you have a particular name that you want to discuss with us,
Sure.
without violating anything, we could. I mean, for instance, the fire department, provisional chief Carly's done most of the work for those candidates, and for the police department, Lieutenant Strong has done a lot of background information. So I'm sure that they'll have a conversation with you if you have a constituent that is maybe questioning you. I'm sure they'll have a conversation with you if you need to have that conversation.
Sure. What I'd like to do is I'd like to grant further time, have a conversation with those 2 individuals that were just mentioned, and also with you. And then we can go over it at that point, and then we can come out with a report at some point.
Excellent.
And also, before I give up the questions, what I'd like to do is, if we're going to be making sure that, individuals now, we're going to need some help with you as well for the residency stuff, because I just received our ordinance, and they have to be up to like snuff with 7 years of being here when they're hired. So that was an ordinance that was put in, I believe, a long time ago, actually, so.
That's correct,
And
and,
as civil service law is right now today, you have to have 1 year of living in the city before you can even say that you're going to take the position within the city, correct?
that's correct.
All right, so, I mean, there's a number of things that we gotta look at, so I'd like to just grant further time, but before I do that, Councilman McLaughlin.
I also would like to just touch on the residency requirement. Mr. Vetrano, you and I had a conversation and she had some emails back and forth about a month ago regarding residency requirement. And to be very honest with you, I was a little displeased in the answer that you gave to me. We as a city council passed an ordinance that said that we were going to enforce a residency requirement law in the city of Everett. I then asked for a copy of everybody that has been hired by the city of Everett since the ordinance went into place to show that we are enforcing the ordinance that we created. You told me at the time that we're not able to have that information. That information can't be shared publicly, shared with us.
That's correct. So it's my understanding, after I referred your question to the city solicitor and got a disposition on it, and it's my understanding of under Mass General Law, under the public sector, the employees' addresses are confidential, and under the city ordinance for the residency requirement, coming up here in July, it does fall under the Human Resources Department to verify once each year annually that the employees are residents. And that's what the email read, that we would do that.
But if you do have a name of someone that you believe is not living in the city and is not you know, police or fireman that's supposed to live here for 7 years, or non-union department head that is supposed to live in Everett, and you have a name that you want us to check out, please give us that name. We take the matter very serious.
And you know, due respect, I wanted to just show that when I was on the Common Council, I was actually the deciding vote on the issue on residency requirement. And I just wanted to see that what I voted on was actually successful in making sure that Everett residents were getting Everett jobs.
Sure.
And I don't really care about knowing if Mayor DeMaria lives on Belmont Street. I just want to know that Mayor DeMaria lives in Everett. Not, you know, just using you as an example, Mayor. But as any employee, I don't care about the specific street and number of the house that they live on, but just to tell me that they live in the city, or to prove in some manner that they actually live here, is what I was looking for, because we don't know at this point. And I'm sure, Mayor, you do the best you can to get Everett's jobs. I know we've talked about it a million times before I was on the council and off the council. But I would like to see something in black and white that
Councilor,
shows this.
I actually have a copy of it. I think I was one of the sponsors on the original piece, so I could furnish that to you after
You have
our
a copy
meeting,
of what, Mr. Jim?
the ordinance itself, so.
Yep, exactly. So now I'm looking, because we passed the ordinance in April of
Yeah,
2013.
enforcement, I know, exactly.
So we're looking for everybody that's been hired from, it was 30 days, so it was May of 2013 to present. I'm looking for
Sure.
every name that has been hired and insurance that they live in the city of Everett.
I think they can produce names, correct me if
But
I'm
I'm
wrong.
told- I'm
I
told
know
that
they
they
can
cannot.
produce names, but they can't produce addresses. Okay?
So we
Just
basically
names.
we basically passed an ordinance that we can't enforce.
Well, I mean, we should be enforcing that. The administration should. So if you do have a name that you want to share with us, but maybe, Michael, we should maybe do some sort of.
And this
we
would be
do wanna-
germane to
Check.
what we're speaking of tonight?
Yes, police and
Fire
fire.
and police, okay.
Police and fire, correct.
And we do it on a regular basis, and we verify and we spot check during our HR audits. Periodically, we'll pull a name. And then again, just to go back to that email, in July, once we do audit the whole city-wide, I was going to circle back with you and provide you the answers without giving you the specifics, but that we were in compliance with the residency requirements.
And again, it wasn't a reflection of you, Mr. Vetrano. You were just really the messenger in the middle of that conversation. But I do want to make sure that people are getting these jobs that live in the city. And I know the administration does do the best they can. But I would just like to see something in black and white. That's all I'm asking.
Counselor, I agree. What we're doing now is, it's item number, I believe, 10. We're going to look at it tonight and hear it, but what it is we're going to put something together to see about enforcing a lot of it. So that's what we're looking to do now. I understand where you're frustrated because of certain items weren't produced. Maybe we can grant further time on it and then go forward with that at this time. So that may be the way to go here. Because that's what I'm going to do. I'd like to grant further time on it, so that we can get all the information that we need.
I would make a motion that we grant further time, and then we ask the administration that you give us some sort of a document that shows something. I don't care specific street and number of a home.
Compliance.
Just show us that they live in the city of Everett, or that you've gone through and done due diligence in the last 30 to 60 days to show that they live in the city of Everett. And your word is good, Mr. Buchanan. If you say to me, I've gone through and checked everybody and they all live in Everett, we'll move on from the subject.
Is that all part of the motion, Council?
It's part of the motion, correct.
All of it? Okay. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to grant further time on this matter. Do you have any questions, Council Del Sol?
Just a comment on that.
All right.
Through you
Yeah,
to
go ahead.
actually Council McLaughlin.
Sure.
If the name is given to you and Human Resources says they do live in Everett, is that gonna be satisfied for you? They give you 100 names and he says they do all live in Everett, are you gonna be satisfied with that answer?
Go ahead, Council, you can
Through
respond.
you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Am I gonna be satisfied? Not, I'm gonna be okay with it. It's not a great method. It's not going to be what I would like, but it's going to be something. It's gonna at least be that we have checks and balances in place, and that we've at least made every effort to ensure that the people of Everett, again, the jobs that we have available. Would I like to see more of a specific? If that's a violation, that's fine, but.
You know, it's not out of the ordinary that we hire a firm to go out and do those investigations for us, too. I mean, there are also other.
There is a private investigator, right, Mr. Mayor?
They can do
Oh,
that.
no.
There's, you know,
Okay.
we're doing that now with some other stuff going on
Yep.
here. And we can do it with, there's also an ordinance, I think, on the book that they have to live 15 miles from the city of how the crow flies or something. So, I mean, you know, there's a lot of things that we can start to enforce if we need to.
I just don't want Mr. Vetrano to go out through all that paperwork and then.
As long as it comes back with them being in
Yes.
compliance with the ordinance that we have, and we're going to create a different ordinance now that's going to be coming forth. We're going to be
Okay.
working with Mr. Vetrano on it. That's why I would like to grant further
Yep.
time, so.
I agree, thank you.
Mr. McCabe, you have anything to add there?
Just happy to be here.
You're just happy to be here, aren't you? Okay. Motion made and seconded to grant further time, have the administration come forward with the list of compliance, if we could have that.
Yes, sir.
So we're giving you more time to get that done as well, so you get acclimated to the job, and you're all set with it.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
All right. Thank you for appearing tonight, gentlemen,
Thank you.
and glad to have you here. Take number 9. Take number 8. No, 9.
All right, number 9. Number 9 is the tax bills.
Could we have,
Make a motion to invite up Ms. Davis from the assessor's office and Mr. Desmond from.
we have
Buildings.
Ms. Davis and Mr. Desmond before us, please. Sorry for having you here so late, ladies and gentlemen, and I apologize because we had some lengthy pieces on here, but I appreciate you staying. Could you please give an update on the tax bill issue?
Yes. We did draft a letter for you, but we all highly recommend it not be mailed. We really feel as though it's going to cause much more confusion and ire than just leaving it alone. There was one incident a couple of days after we had the hearing where a party on Elwood Street, one house that was using number 1 was supposed to be number 5. They were informed that when they came to City Hall, it was a investment property where the landlord said fine and changed the number to 5. And consequently, that put 2 number 5s on that street. The party that had number 5 for a long time was now not receiving mail, which was crucial because medicine was being mailed through the mail. When they came in that day, we all got together. We all agreed that the best thing to do is for that house to go back to number 1, that changed to 5. The owner was contacted, they agreed immediately, and the issue was resolved in a day. We feel that right now there aren't any duplicate numbers. We're just going to have to police those duplicate numbers that we're using, the legal and the illegal
Sure.
number, just to keep our records straight, but we feel we can manage that internally without causing any large commotions for the public.
If those letters were sent out, then there'd be a trickle-down effect, and it would affect a number
Absolutely.
of people. Okay, all right, I agree with that.
Absolutely.
I agree. Counsel, do you have any questions on that?
Sure.
Councilman McLaughlin?
I'm sorry, Mr. Clark, did you say?
Councilman McLaughlin?
Just trying to do my job. The reverse of that is if we don't do nothing, does that same problem arise down the road for any of these individuals that believe their home is one number and actually is another number, as we've talked about in many other meetings?
Well, but what is the problem, is the question. They're getting their mail because we're recognizing their mailing address. We had 911 here. There's never been an issue with any safety because of it. It's been this way for decades. So I'm not quite sure how to answer that, because I don't really understand what the issue was.
Question so I could hear
Sure,
it
I think
from you.
I think really the statement is, Ms. Davis just gave an example of how changing an address became somewhat of a detrimental to a family. If it stays as is today, does that same scenario happen down the road? Where the home is one number and is believed to be another?
I'm privy to the information that she gave me. With that Elwood address, there was 2 number 5s on the street. So one of them had to change to the number 1. It was the closest one to the end of the street, which was number 1, which would not create a trickle-down effect, which would not disrupt the rest of the numbers on the street.
Correct.
Now, what that does is it actually clears 911, because 911 basically is going to respond anyway, as they have been responding to these residents. The only issue that I had was the 2 number 5s. Which number 5 would they go to? So that was cleared up. According to Ms. Davis, there's no additional need to do this throughout the city now. Reason being is because there's no additional numbering.
There's no duplications,
Yeah,
right.
there's no duplications of the street, so.
Fair enough.
It's fair enough for me. I mean, if in fact we were to send out that letter, it probably would cause maybe some false alarm maybe, but no need to do it, because unless there was duplicates on that street, then we would actually address it, or they would address it and get it, done.
So as our able clerk of committees has suggested numerous amount of times to us, that we change our in-house paperwork instead of asking the homeowners to change their lives around, that we change it in City Hall. Is that something that we should look at to make our documents
Ask Ms. Davis.
credible?
That's a good
Our
question.
documents do have, I'm sorry, I apologize, I thought it was on. Our documents are correct. The city maps, the city addresses in our database are the correct number versus the number that the residents are using. Maybe a little confusing when they come into our office, in the Inspectional Services Office, for a building permit or plumbing permit. Which house are you, that type of thing, but it's easily solved.
And my records are showing both addresses, so it's easily looked up.
One address is an alias address, one is a real address.
Correct.
Right, we're
So-
calling them AKAs.
AKAs. Good name for it. So, is there any additional questioning? Seeing none, excuse the customary thanks. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Refer back to sponsor. Motion made to refer back to sponsor. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
What do we got left?
Item number 5 is the Lennon Street construction.
Councilman McLaughlin.
Mr. Chairman, on the item, I'm pleased in seeing that the construction has been done on Linden Street. I thank the DPW for assisting the contractor that actually did the work, and at this time, refer it back to sponsor.
Motion made and seconded to refer item number 5 back to sponsor. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. You have done so. Please read item number 6.
Item number 6 is the Sacramone Park renovation.
Councilman McLaughlin.
I'm going to ask that Mr. Souza come before us, please.
Mr. Souza, please appear before us. State your name and title again, please, for the record.
Good evening. Tony Sousa, Director of Planning and Development.
Thank you.
Promise I'll be brief.
Thank you.
Mr. Souza, I had
Yes.
some original concerns about the park, and after talking with many parents throughout Little League's opening day, and then being able to sit down with you and Mr. Bergonzi and the architect, I am very confident that we have a great park in the making at Sacramone Park, and that we're going to do wonderful things for not only Pop Warner and Little League, but all of the residents of the Ward 6 area with Sacramone Park. And I'm excited to see that park come to fruition, and I want to thank you for having a lengthy meeting with me in your office. They think tonight's meeting was long. That was a long meeting. But I appreciate you getting all of the answers to my questions, and I have no further questions at this time.
Councilman Delasola.
Thank you, Councilman.
Tony, how we doing? I know we talked ourselves with Al also. Just one question. I know there's 2 diamonds gonna be put in there. Is it one is all AstroTurf, and the other one, the infield, is dirt? Is that correct?
So both fields, infield and outfield, will be of a synthetic material.
Okay.
So that's
I just
how we
heard a
have that
rumor, like
designed.
there's a lot of, that one was gonna be dirt infield, the other one was gonna be the AstroTurf. I like the idea of both AstroTurf, and now, are we gonna maintain that? I know we have a lot of parks coming up.
Yes.
My biggest concern is there's 4 or 5 parks that are gonna be done.
Sure.
Are we gonna use the machine from the Everett Stadium to, and then I know I think every 6 months or whatever, it is, you have to
Sure.
go through the grass with the road, it's not road until it's like a brush.
Yes.
That rebrushes it. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, there will be, just like at the Everett Stadium, there will be a maintenance plan for that, and to utilize ideally the existing equipment, but it does require a maintenance plan on a certain schedule. It does require washing and certain soaps, if you will, and grooming that even on a synthetic needs to take place as well. And also, if I may, and likewise to you, Mr. Chairman, as well, I want to thank all of you also, including Councilor Delasola and Councilor McLaughlin as well. Certainly, the input that we've received from the residents as well, from chairman and the councilors, is very helpful to us as well as we plan these parks. I'm reminded, though, too, and just not to lose sight, we are doing the ball fields over and a new concession stand. There will also be retaining the basketball court area, some configuration, new play equipment, which we've just ordered as well, ordered through the city side. And just along those lines of maintenance, because it was brought up at one of the other meetings. And we have, through my department and DPW, we will be adding these parks, this park, and the other parks that we're doing right now, and future parks in our maintenance plan and updating them. Because there's a lot of neat stuff now going into our parks, and it's important to maintain them. And I just want to let you know that we're listening very carefully, and we want to, we're trying to be as responsive to what you're telling us. So
If you
thank
want to see, they come out great. Down in Malden, they're Malden Catholic. They just did that. That's beautiful down there. But
Yeah.
same as Sacramone Park's gonna be, but hopefully that's
Yeah,
a beautiful park what
I
they
believe
did
it's
down there.
the former mayor, Mayor Howard Park.
He was a good man. I like Mayor Howard.
It's a beautiful park, it is.
Yeah, it came out very nice.
I drive by there every day now.
Yeah. I had to get out one day and actually look at the fence. I couldn't believe how nice it was, but
That's nice.
hopefully, and I'm sure we will maintain them, and You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
All set, Council?
Two quick questions.
Yes, I am.
Councilman McLaughlin.
I'm sorry, Council Russell. We talked about trying to cover the bench area for the coaches and for the players on what type of material we're going to use against the chain link fence. Remember the conversation that we had
Yeah.
with Al?
I do remember the conversation. Unfortunately, unfortunately, I don't remember now off the top of my head the exact name of the material.
Okay.
To
Are we
be
going to
honest.
use
I
that
apologize.
canopy type looking material that would cover
Or-
the whole?
Or similar?
Okay.
Or similar.
Okay, that's fantastic. My last question is, who is the architect of Sacramento Park versus the architect of the other parks that are currently?
Oh, sure. So the, with respect to him, he's actually an engineer. Nesra Engineering is the gentleman that is designing, has designed that park. And he is also the same engineer for Day Park, Herman Day Park, where the former Horseman School used to be. And he has also did the design work for Meadows or Kieran's. And the other, our Florence Street Park was a landscape architect, LDD Collaborative.
So the individual that did Florence Street Park is separate from the other parks, is that what you just?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, that's
Oh,
great.
yes. And if I'm, and I know it's late, but if I just may too, on the same topic of
Sure.
Sacramone, for your benefit, for the public's benefit as well, we will be receiving the final bid plans to put out for construction. The goal is to have a contractor out there to do the work in the fall, and so we're not doing anything this.
Do we have a
this
name of the
summer.
contractor that's doing Sacramone Park?
Forgive me?
Do we have a name of the contractor?
Oh, no, it's going to go out to
Oh,
bid.
okay.
It's going
It's
to
not
out to
out there
bid.
yet? Okay.
It's going to
Thank
go
you.
out to bid, and so with that being said, work to be done in the fall, and DPW has been a tremendous help with us in coordinating with the neighborhood and also with the teams that do play there throughout the year in terms of logistics and so on with that, and certainly we're not going to do plantings in December. We'll do it in early spring, which, believe it or not, it is a synthetic turf field, I get it, but there will also be plantings on the outside in the plaza and so on, and there will be elements of real grass on the outer edges as well. So we're very, very excited for that, and I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a great project.
Mr. Souza, will Pop Warner be able to open their practice season in Sacramento Park, or is that going to be dismantled beforehand if you say we're going to go start work in the fall?
So our director of DPW, I know, has been working with them.
Okay.
There is a site that I know that they're working on. Fortunately, I don't handle the who goes where.
Which is fine, yeah.
But he and I do coordinate with respect to timelines, and that's all that I know in terms of.
Fair enough. I would make a motion to refer, excuse with customary thanks. Thank you, Mr. Souza.
Before,
for
Thank
I have a
clearing.
question, Counselor.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Before the motion, any of these parks that we're gonna be doing, including the Sacramento Park, the State Germain, we're gonna be having punch lists, correct? Before anybody's released?
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
we'll have some type of insurance on that?
Absolutely, and thank you for the question, because
Yeah.
I do recall you also mentioned last time, and reminded of that also, the importance of holding retainage and just following good standard
Sure.
construction procedures. The punch list is key, ensuring that all the warranties are in place and followed
Yeah,
through.
before we take control of it. I mean, right now, we're looking at Glendale, and there's some work to be done down at Glendale. from
Yes.
what I'm understanding. Okay.
Yes.
So that's where I was going with
Yes.
that, but.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, one last question I'm going to touch on. Mr. Souza, we've talked about this, and it's very important to me, is the bocce court.
Yes.
Very important that we have bocce courts in the city of Everett, because we have the gold champion here in the room tonight.
We have
But
the
in-
champion.
But in all seriousness, he's the champion in many aspects of life, but,
Your question, Counselor?
I apologize, I lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. How many bocce courts do we plan on putting in Sacramento Park, and how many bocce courts will we have in the Meadows Park? Because we've talked about both of those parks in respect of the Ward 6 neighborhood.
Sure. So over at Sacramento Park, there is currently a bocce court there. And we we'll be replacing that, we'll be relocating that bocce court further down. Now, by bocce court, I'm not an expert, but it is that structure, right? So I consider that one. With respect to the meadows, we have not designed it in the Phase 1, but we have talked about this. You're absolutely right. And we have all, I think, talked about this. In the Phase 2 work, which I'd like to advance the design relatively soon through the CIP process, I'd like to get that out there and get that going. I'd like to incorporate a bocce court there. If there's a desire for that, and it sounds like there is, would love to have that. I think it's fitting, in my personal opinion, but.
I would really like to see that we can, and I spoke to Mr. Vagonzi, and I was sure he told me that we could, but I would really like to see if we could have 2 bocce courts on Meadows Park, because that way we can start to really hold tournaments and do leagues and so forth in the city of Everett as an outdoor activity for the summer and spring. I think Mr. Vagonzi said that the design could handle 2 bocce courts, kind of in an L shape, one straight and one parallel. So I would really suggest or recommend to you that you do all you can to ensure that happens at Meadows Park.
Absolutely. Again, I love doing this design stuff, and love to work with all of you on it. So I would.
Motion made, excuse customary. Thanks. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Thank you for appearing tonight.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Motion? Motion made and seconded to refer this item back to sponsor. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it.
All right, item number 10 is the election process.
What we're going to do with this item here is we're going to grant further time until the first meeting in September to gather more information and then report back to you gentlemen at that meeting. We're getting information daily, actually. We're getting stuff from different cities now, how they do it, plus our own ordinances that we've wrote, which I can furnish you a copy of that. So that's why it was kind of sort of on the lines that I was talking about with the other piece. So we'll have more information to produce some type of ordinances on this. Just keep it. Whatever. So the motion would be to grant further time till September meeting. Myself and Mr. Matusky, because we're getting all the information now.
Okay, so to make a motion that.
Motion made and seconded to hold this over to the first meeting in September and invite both sponsors to that meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. You have done so. Adjournment. Make a motion for adjournment. You want to stay? Make a motion for an adjournment.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.